Welcome to the Biz Coach Show. In every episode, we share information and advice for small business owners, small business leaders, startups, and entrepreneurs preparing to launch their business. Our mission is to give entrepreneurs the edge they need to succeed. If you're in need of business coaching, head over to mybizcoaches.co and book your free coaching consultation today. Your host is Eric Whitmore, owner of My Biz Coaches. Eric is a business coach, serial entrepreneur, author, and speaker. Eric is passionate about sharing his knowledge and insights with small business owners so they can transform their businesses and achieve peak success. Well, Eric, it is great to be with you today, and we're always playing around with different ways to make the show, fun, exciting, kind of change things up, and we've been playing around with the unscripted format, and today we're using a new format, which is the quick cast. So for those that are followers of the show, or maybe you've checked out a few of our other episodes, we generally do kind of a long format episode. Today, we're going to do kind of a quick cast that's kind of quick practical tips that you can watch in just a few minutes and apply in your life and business. And today, we're going to be talking about networking. And so, Eric, as we're thinking about networking and specifically small business owners and networking, kind of talk to us a little bit about why it's important for small business owners to network.
So, first of all, I got to go with thank you for allowing me to be the producer today, David. This has been
fun. Absolutely, man. You're doing great so far. You're doing awesome.
Only had to re-record this twice now. Anyway, so it's there's it's funny, as I was going through a training earlier this morning, and in the process of going through the training, the person, they work with coaches specifically, and I thought what was interesting was some of the takeaways that I gained through that it was a webinar, and they were talking about how the easiest way to get your coaching business off the ground is to leverage networking. And the primary reason for it was the fact that it's easy to develop those relationships quicker. You're face-to-face, generally speaking, we're usually relatively comfortable in that space. Probably likely depends on your age. I know we talked about that many times before, but if you're over a certain age and most of your experience has been face-to-face interaction, networking, predominantly face-to-face networking, probably one of the easiest ways for you to adapt and improve on your ability to engage with a group of clients trying to provide your services, right? Introduce and share what you do as a business. And as a coach, more specifically, right, even more so, because it's about engaging people on a human level and connecting with them so that you can, get the space, the opportunity to and share and show them, what you can do, talk about what you do. But anyway, when it comes to networking, one of the biggest opportunities I really think is important is to understand there's multiple purposes in networking. And when you're talking about the first primary one is the business growth, right? I'm trying to build my business. I'm trying to get in front of more people. It's that this might be a topic for another conversation at some point. But when you talk about business growth and trying to grow your business, my philosophy is I want to do it as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
So, and it literally relates to a quote that I did the other day, which is fail forward faster, right? I can't remember, I think it was Tom Watson that talked about it at IBM, but it was, if you want to increase your success rate, fail forward faster. And networking can allow you to do that. I mean, I remember when I was really trying to dial in my elevator pitch, even for the coaching business that I started 4 years ago, it was, if I did, I committed to doing 50 networking events in a quarter. And, a lot of people, when I tell that story today, they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, it was a lot of getting out there and getting in front of people.
Yep.
But it was fail forward faster, within, I would say, the first 15 or 20 networking sessions that I went to, I really dialed in my elevator pitch, and that helped me really get comfortable with what I wanted to share with people. And then as I dialed it in and refined it, I got more specific about what I was looking to do. But that's really important. Getting the elevator pitch down, getting clear on what your message is very important, because when you're networking, you have that 10 to 30-second opportunity to really kind of engage people and get them to want to hear you. And what you have to do in that point is provide something of value to that individual in that short span of time. So, you talk about business growth. If I'm going to grow my business through networking, one of the things I have to be able to do very effectively is get out there. This is what I do. This is who I do it for. And here's the results you can expect to get from working with me. And so that whole, my point to all of this is, if you're going to grow your business, one of the most important things you need to do, if you're going to use networking as a way to do that, you've got to get that dialed in. You have to have your elevator pitch down, which is literally a 10-second pitch, and then be able to expound on and go to a 30 to 60-second commercial that shares who you are, who you work with, what you do for those individuals, and more specifically, what they can expect to get from working with you. When you do that, you are able to, like I said, really kind of engage people quickly. They will then determine, yes, I want to hear more, and then that leads to those advanced conversations. But the getting out there and doing that is probably one of the quickest and easiest ways to really kind of get your business growing quickly, because you've got to get out there and you got to let people know. And there's a number of different ways. I mean, now today you can do online networking, which is something that didn't exist probably 10 years ago. Or if it did, it was very, very minimal. Now it's really socially acceptable, but I do a combination of both even today. I still do the physical networking, but I also do the online networking groups, and in every scenario, it's the same thing, right? I've got to be able to get my elevator pitch. I got to be able to get my commercial down. I got to be able to convey to people what it is I do and the value they would have from engaging with me, so that I can help people determine whether or not they want to work with me, so that I can keep moving forward in that networking process. Now that's the messaging side of it. That's me, getting my services in front of people. But there's another part of, business growth, which is building the relationships with people. They could be referral partners and things like that, which we'll talk more about. But it can't be a one-sided thing, which I think that's, unfortunately, people think of it. I'm going to do networking to grow my business, and I'm going to go spew my message out there to everybody, and that's all I do, is just go spew on everybody and throw out my messaging. And that's a component of it, and you have to be good at it, you have to be tactful at it, but there's more to it than just that to be effective at networking.
As you were talking about that elevator pitch, I think that in and of itself is actually a really helpful exercise. I'm sure you've seen that yourself and with clients as you've helped them with networking, is when you get really good at refining what it is that you do and the value you bring, it just helps you with your brand clarity, right? And some of those other things. So I think that's important. And I think you mentioned earlier too, just looking for ways to provide value to people instead of just hawking your services. So I think some really good points. Go ahead.
I was gonna, as one last thought on that, as you mentioned that, there's one of the groups that I work with specifically, they created what they call a mastermind networking group. And in that particular group, it is a same group of people. There's no, occasionally we'll have somebody sit in and learn more about the group, but only so as an opportunity to create their own group, not to necessarily become part of that group unless there's an open opportunity within that group. But the point is that you have the same people meeting every week. And I actually had people that are like, oh, well, that would be terrible. I mean, how do you get new clients? And I'm like, no. What you're doing is you're training the group to become the extension of who you are and learn more about what you do. And the way that you do that, going back to your point, David, the way you do that is every week you have a new give. New perspective of information that's relevant to what you do. It could be some statistics, which is typically where I kind of lean to, but it could be tips and tricks. It could be suggestions and opportunities for, to network in other spaces or whatever. But every week you're bringing a new give before you do the ask. So you're providing something of value, information of some sort, in trade for the ask that is relevant to the give, right? So for instance, I'll say, hey, did you know that 80% of small business owners typically never sell their business? It actually shuts down without having an actual exit, right? An actual sale windfall sale to take place. And what I'm doing is I'm building a strategy to help those individuals. So if I can engage with them, I can help them prepare to sell their business in advance. And so then my ask would be, so who in the room knows somebody that might be at that point where they're considering potentially selling, not maybe right now, but ideally in the next couple of years, so that we have the opportunity to really do what needs to be done to prepare the business accordingly. And then literally you go around the room and everybody in the room then shares if they have an offer, if they have a potential lead. And often I'll walk out of that room between 3 and 5 leads a week from that session.
Wow. Yeah.
So very intentional in that strategy. And it's kind of, I would say it's networking on steroids, because it's really kind of combining a number of the different values of what network can bring to you when it's done effectively.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, it's good. Kind of first of 3, right? So first is, kind of grow your business. What would be another reason why a small business owner should invest time in networking?
Well, next biggest one, and I would say, ironically, I learned more about the coaching business from networking. During all my, in my networking sessions, I learned more about the coaching business, which ironically, in my particular case, which is the whole long story that we won't get into today, but got me even more passionate about coaching.
Yeah.
But I learned a ton about what business owners needed. So the knowledge and the insight that I gained from going to those networking events, one, I thought I knew what business owners needed, and I did know a fair amount, but there was a lot of other things that I didn't realize that they needed. There was things that, like anyone else who's a certain level of competency, there's certain things you take for granted.
Yeah.
And you forget what other people may not know about what you know. You kind of take that for granted.
Yep.
And I had. And so as I got out and started doing these networking events, I realized there's a lot of people that didn't know about how to effectively use a CRM, how to use an email marketing campaign, how to, it's like, and I just kind of take it for granted. I'm like, just do this and this and this. And they're like, well, hold on. What, where does that come from? What's a CRM? And it's like, oh, well, hold on. I was like, let's back up. But so knowledge. And then another big one is, just gaining knowledge and insight. What's going on in the world around you? What are your peers that you're networking with? What are they struggling with? What is going on in the world for them? How are the world events, in the economy in the U.S. today? How is it affecting other people that you're associating with? And advice, right? I mean, there's people in other spaces that are not related. They're like close relatives of business coaches, accountants, lawyers, people in the payroll services industry, people in the merchant service. They can be phenomenal partners, referral partners. One, which I know that's one we'll talk about too. But two, you learn about business through their eyes,
right?
What they deal with, what their frustrations are with trying to provide their services, and what they can do that you might not be familiar with. So, learning from a digital marketing agency, some of the new tips and tricks that are out there, learning about the different resources and tools that are available. One of the things we've talked about here is an AI solution that we came up with to strip out video that we create from the long format podcasts that we do and create them into reels. And now we're posting on social media. My initial introduction to that software was in a networking event. A digital marketing person brought it up to me and said, yeah, there's this different social or different AI software programs. You should try a couple of these out. And my search for that, and I think that's when we came across the one we use today. But, you learn different things from people that are out there. So, and what a great opportunity, right? You're trying to provide guidance, insight, knowledge. The other people are also trying to do that, and you learn about their business. And then that makes you that much more of a value when you're talking to your clients, your potential clients.
Yeah.
Whether it's an existing or a potential client, you can have a conversation, and in the insight of knowing and learning, what you learn about, other people's businesses and how it relates to your target audience. What you're able to do then is take that information and in your next conversation, that topic comes up and you say, somebody mentioned to me about this. You're not trying to be the master of the information necessarily, right? You're just conveying that you're familiar with a better solution, potentially better solution. Yeah. And you're like, I'd be happy to make that introduction.
Right.
right? And that makes you a resource, right? So you're gaining insight, you're gaining knowledge from other people, from other spaces, and you're tying it back to how it makes you more valuable to your potential clients, right?
Yeah. No, I think that makes a lot of sense to me, right? The more interactions you have, the more information, the more advice, the more knowledge, and other people's experiences, right? You might, completely different industry, but they may talk to you about something that they struggled with, that they overcame. And you're like, I hadn't even thought about that, but that's coming up probably in the next 12 months for me. And now I can learn from that too. So no, that makes a lot of sense. I think that's a great reason to network in and of itself.
Absolutely.
So cool. Okay. So, first one, right? You want to network, grow your business. Second, information, advice, shared experiences. What would be the third reason why a small business owner would want to network?
Well, and I kind of alluded to it, but that's building a support system, building a network of individuals who understand your business. Maybe not quite as well as you do, but pretty darn well. Because realistically, if you were going to get referrals from somebody, like you and I could refer somebody to one another, because I'm very comfortable with the space that you're in.
Yeah.
I call you for advice, right? You call me for advice. We go back and forth on what our strengths and opportunities are. Similarly, in a networking relationship, the way that you get value out of networking, because you walk into, I'll go back and it's Holmes. Can't remember his first name. Is it Charles Holmes?
Sherlock?
What's that? No, it's not Sherlock.
Mike Holmes in Canada? No.
I can't remember. I think it's Charles Holmes. I can't remember. It's Holmes is the last name. I know that for a fact. But he talks about the percentage of people that are ready for your service right now, ready for your solution right now.
Yeah. And
it is 3% is typically the number of people that are ready for your solution right now, which means that out of 100 people you talk to, 3% are ready to buy now. 7% are ready to make a decision. They just don't know enough about you yet, right? And then the next group of, I believe it's 20%, are people that would be interested if they knew about your solution, right?
Sure.
And so that's a 30%, and you go from 30 to 30. That's a 10x swing, right? Yep. I can increase the number of people I talk to by 10 times, 100, 10x return, right? I can do that by simply expounding on and helping my sales team, for lack of a better term, of other individuals who are familiar with what I do, understand it well enough that they could quickly describe my elevator pitch, my 30 or 60-second commercial to someone, and hear 3, 4, 5 different triggers that might set them off and say, this is exactly what Eric's looking for. This is the type of client that's an ideal client for him. I'm going to make the recommendation and introduction.
Yeah.
And the best part is that when somebody makes that recommendation, assuming that it's somebody that they're comfortable with, right? That's a nice warm handoff, and often is a very simple conversation for the person who's getting the referral, right? So you actually create a sales team. As a matter of fact, Brandon Barnum wrote the book Raving Referrals, and I remember that he shared in that book that I want to say that the statistic is if you had 6 to 7 powerful referral partners, you'd probably never have to go look for business.
Wow.
And in his book, what they talk about specifically is they try and help people develop 10 referral partners.
Wow.
You focus on finding 10 referral partners and constantly having a team of 10. And that team could change over time, right? You evolve, your skill sets evolve, your solutions evolve. But by having that number of people that are out there basically like you referring your services, and consequently you are then representing those individuals as well. You know enough about their business. Now, remember, if you had 100 different referral partners, that's kind of unrealistic. There's no way you're going to be able to refer 100 different businesses, right, to your end client. And the idea is it's going to be somebody who is in the same space as you are. So again, I go back and refer accountants, lawyers, bookkeepers, merchant service solutions, bankers, whatever, right? Yep. But the idea is that they not only understand my business as well as I do, but I know and understand their business as well, and we reciprocate to one another. because when I hear the little triggers that they've taught me to be prepared for, I then make those introductions to those individuals.
Yeah.
Just like we've done with many of the people we've had on our shows, right?
Right.
Some of the Tevia, I've already referred her to a handful of clients.
Yeah.
So the reality is, at the end of the day, there's tons of when it's done correctly,
Yeah.
great opportunities to share, solutions like that and create those referral partners. And now you have a support team, right? It's also part of that knowledge and advice component that we talked about, because that support team is also my, like if I'm going to call somebody because I have accounting questions, I'm going to call that accountant or one of those accountants that I refer on a regular basis, or I'm going to call that bookkeeping group, because I know, that I can trust their insight and their guidance. And so they're also my resource for information. So I've got this whole in-house team of professionals that I can rely on. And by the way, they actually know a lot about my business. And when they hear triggers, they're going to make those referrals. And so I can expound on my opportunity to grow.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, 3 great reasons why. And as we wrap up, Eric, I have to acknowledge networking is not something that I'm real excited about, not my forte, as you all know, but I have to credit you with kind of forcing me to do some networking back when I was living in Phoenix. And there'd be a number of times where, hey, I'm going to this thing this night, you should tag along. And so you definitely nudged me out of my comfort zone on multiple occasions. And there are even a few times where, hey, I need you to sit in for me on this thing when we were working for the same sales company, and, kind of got me comfortable with it. So if I can just share that, if it's not something that you're comfortable with, if it's not really, you don't get excited about going to a group of strangers and talking about your business, just take those steps, as Eric said, and you'll get more comfortable with it. You'll get better at it. If you're horrible at it, just find another group that doesn't know you and start over again, right? And there's so many different ways to network now that did exist before, virtually, as you talked about, Eric, live. There's, happy hours. There's, wine and business talk, or, there's all sorts of things that you can do
Exactly.
to network and find your group. It's out there. You just have to go outside your comfort zone to find it. So you taught me that, and maybe even forced me a little bit to accept that. And I appreciate it, though, because it's always stuck with me. So thanks, Eric.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I would take it one step further in regards to that, Dave, is that if you are a little adverse to going out and doing that networking, take a partner.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Any of those groups that I was referring, especially if you're in B2B or something like that, if you're in a B2B space, get some of those other people that are going out and talk to the same types of people and go together. And, or better yet, take a group of people that you go with, right? Like plan to go meet the group together.
Yeah.
And a great way to start is to do the after hours type events.
Yeah.
Because they do allow you to walk into that space on your own accord, as opposed to a more structured, for instance, a BNI or something like that, where you meet for lunch. It's quite a bit more structured, a little bit more daunting, particularly if you're uncomfortable with it, but it can be a great opportunity. But if you're not familiar, you're not comfortable, like myself, I wasn't, and I'm not, generally speaking, comfortable at just walking up and just talking to anybody, take somebody with you, like I did with David.
Oh, I love it. Awesome. Well, hey, before we wrap up with our quick cast, by the way, and if you like this format, let us know in the comments or send us a note on our website. But anything, I think you've got an event coming up, I want to say on the 30th. Do you want to talk just a bit about that, the event you're sponsoring?
Yeah, Accelerant, the business summit. It's here in Phoenix. It's in Scottsdale at the McCormick Ranch Resort. It's called the Accelerate Business Growth Summit. Friends of ours at Network Live are putting it on, Tab and Catherine Pierce, and we're sponsoring one of the sponsors of the event. So we're excited about the opportunity. It's an all-day event. I got like 8 or 9 speakers or something like that. Some really top-notch speakers. Excited to see some of the content and the information that will be shared. And we're doing a special offer. As a matter of fact, if you go to the site, you can mybizcoaches.co. We need to edit that on the bottom of the page there. But mybizcoaches.co, if you go there, there's on the calendar of events, you can find it. And we're offering the only place you can get an additional 30% discount on the event. So the ticket prices are 30% off through our code, which is MBC30. So it's a 30% off the ticket. And then in addition to that, we're offering a whole bunch of free stuff. So you can get all that information there. And you are muted, David.
Oh, and we'll put a link to register as well as the code in the show notes. So you can definitely check that out and register for the event. If you're local to Phoenix, great event to check out. And as Eric said, a lot of great speakers.
Perfect.
So cool. Anything else you want to share about My Biz Coaches?
I think that's it for today.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you for listening or watching. As always, we invite you to subscribe to the Business Coach Show, and we hope to see you on the next episode. Thanks.
Awesome. See you, David.